imagine, would you watch a show just about Peter Parker and not Spider-Man?
But
Would that
that's
be
a different story
entertaining?
though too. You can't call it like you can't compare that to Gotham though.
No, I was comparing it to Smallville,
Oh,
but then
right.
I mentioned Gotham, which was really Detective Gordon.
No,
Yeah,
I can
but
understand
Smallville, he still had his powers though.
You okay, Ruby?
I guess I don't know.
He just didn't showcase all of them. He still has powers.
He never
I mean,
put
they
the
had the
suit
race
on.
with Flash and shit. Yeah, he never did any of that. I mean, it would be interesting to watch like you know how in the second Spider-Man movie where he loses his powers and he's like raindrops falling on my head. And then you have that beautiful scene where he's like, I'm back. And he falls and like breaks his back and shit.
Like he was going through puberty and shit like that too when he was able to shoot it out of his hands and not through the fucking mechanics.
No,
Like,
that was stupid. I told you guys that we watched it yesterday. Me and my wife she watched it for the first time.
That was such a
So
bad.
she never watched it.
I'm making her watch all of them. Today we're gonna watch 2. Another bad one. You say is the best one, but I think it's bad.
That's one of the best Spider-Man.
Which one was 2?
The one that came out in 2004 with
Doc
Ock.
That was actually one of the better ones.
Nah,
that's the top 3 fucking Spider-Man film ever. Yes, it is. It's in the top 3. Well, it's in my top 3.
Because the worst one was the one with Venom.
Some people debate that. They say the one with Electro.
They say that movie's good.
Yeah,
Spider-Man 3 was
live
bad,
and die by that
the
film.
fact that I can't stand emo Parker.
I think both those movies are equally. Those are the bottom 2. If Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 are not in your bottom 2, you're bugging. Amazing Spider-Man 1 is not as bad as Spider-Man 3. I don't care what nobody says.
Spider-Man 3 was definitely the worst.
Dr. Connors, right? When he's the lizard. That's a Spider-Man 1, yeah.
That's not that bad.
No, it's not as bad as Spider-Man 3. It's not.
Right. I would definitely say, like, if I was going to go with 3, those 3 would be Venom, the one with Venom, Spider-Man 3 would be the worst. Then I would say Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock. And then The Amazing Spider-Man.
What?
Wait. I don't think he understands.
Oh, no. Sorry. The other way around. Sorry. I confused
what?
No, my bad. I was reading the wrong way.
No, because Doc Ock is not the worst. At the images. I was
looking at the pictures of all of them. That's why I just read that as I was reading it out loud. No, Doc Ock was not the worst. Doc Ock was the best out of the 3. It was definitely the Venom one was the worst one. Then I would say it was definitely the Lizard one. I wasn't a fan of that one. Doc Ock out of the originals was definitely my favorite. What's the other one that I did not like? Green Goblin was definitely one of my favorites.
That's the first. So you like the first one?
Oh, I do like the first one. Yeah, I do like the first one. Green Goblin was the first
Spider-Man 1.
That shit is trash.
I like that one. I like that one.
Spider-Man 1 is better than both the Amazing Spider-Man movies, though. I'll give it that. Because my bottom 3 of Spider-Man movies is gonna be Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, and The Amazing Spider-Man. That's the bottom
Andrew
3
Garfield.
movies.
I don't like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
You just realized right now at this moment in time that was Andrew Garfield in the Amazing Spider-Man films. And then you say you don't like Andrew Garfield. So if it was someone that you didn't think it was, you probably would have liked it. But because you don't like Andrew Garfield, now you're biased. No.
Because I'm trying to think of them. I'm like literally looking through the movies because they all blend together with those fucking movies right now. So I'm really like the ones that I know that I loved are the new ones.
Listen, this is it. We're already talking about it. We're gonna say it right now. This is the list. You guys are ready for this?
Give me your list.
All right, we're gonna start from the worst
to
the best. All right, let me pull it up because I want to make sure I got the years and all that shit. I want to make sure I got the years and everything together. Let's put it. Spider-Man films.
Why do I not remember the one with the? Why do I not remember all the one with the lizard?
And we're including
That's the first Into
the Spider-Verse, right?
That's the one that was complete trash. Then I put that one as the worst one, probably worse than Venom. The one with the lizard. I hated that fucking movie horribly.
I like that one better than the second one. The second one with Electro was fucking garbage.
Oh yeah, Electro was bad. What was the third one?
There was no third one. It was so bad they didn't make a third one. That's why.
Okay, so Andrew Garfield's going at the bottom no matter what.
He has the worst series, right?
Yeah, he does. I'll put that.
It does suck. And
here's the thing: I liked him as the actor. I think he carried those films. If it wasn't for him, those movies would have been
because the villains were bad. Usually the villains carry, but the
villains were bad.
Yeah,
and the writing was fucking atrocious.
It's still the point
the thing that carried those movies was him and fucking Gwen Stacy. Their chemistry on screen was fucking immaculate.
Yes. Okay.
And Gwen Stacy,
because Kristen, if
it wasn't for them two in those movies, these movies would have been even worse than they already are, because they just did a terrible job at storytelling. like the story with Peter's actual dad being involved. That shit was stupid.
Well, yeah, I was upset that they tried to involve the parents. That you did not need to involve the parents. We don't need to know that. It was dumb.
Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst definitely had good chemistry.
No, they fucking stunk. She was the worst love interest ever in history of Spider-Man. Everything
boring. She was so boring. Even when she was
boring.
dating Flash, that old little sequence in Spider-Man 1 was horrible.
And she wasn't even just boring. She always treated my mans like shit.
And she's a hoe. You want to know why she's a hoe?
She fucked his best friend.
No, not only that. She's a hoe. And I'm going to tell you why. So, you know, Harry Osborn, his father dies, right? Green Goblin. He's dead. They go to the funeral. Harry leaves. She kisses Peter Parker at the funeral when he leaves. Like, how much more of a hoe can you be? And then she's like, I always loved you, Peter. No, you didn't. You fucking liar. You didn't look at him twice, you fucking whore. You know, he was trying to get your attention. He would look at you. You would look past him. Fuck you, you fucking hoe.
Hey, Lou, I just want you to know you're lagging again, by the way.
You see, I'm trying to get good. I'm in my zone. And these things.
You gotta be into it, dude, because he was lagging on Call of Duty today, too.
I told him, bro, he was telling me I was lagging. And the whole time it was fucking him with his.
No, you were lagging too.
His rice bag of fucking grains.
Well, all I know is I really did not like the Amazing Spider-Man movies at all.
Hold on. So, Tama, you're telling me. I just want to get this. I want to understand this. Am I still lagging before I continue?
Yes, you're lagging really bad.
All right, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna return. I'm gonna. Should I end the entire call and then start it up again?
No.
Okay, because you remember last time I left and then I came back, so I'm gonna just leave.
Okay, so look, I hate the Amazing Spider-Man, but I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man.
But John, this is where you're gonna get me frustrated. You did this. You did this on purpose as I left. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna get Lou upset, right? That's what happened. I'm gonna get Lou upset.
I kid you not. We were like deliberating. We were about to have a whole convo. Like, all right, what can we say to piss this guy off? He literally just asked me. He's like, what else can I say?
Yeah, because you just said you hate Andrew Garfield and that you don't like the Amazing Spider-Man. Then you're like, oh, he's the best one.
You gotta watch the Andrew Garfield movies again just to laugh at his terrible like New York accent. That shit is fucking hilarious.
Mind you, right?
When he speaks, it's so fucking
my god,
funny.
Lou.
Tobey Maguire. Am I still lagging?
Yo.
That's worse than it was before, bro.
I just want to say something. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
All right, I'm just going to say this right now because I have to get this off my chest. Tobey Maguire was 25 years old playing a 17-year-old boy from Queens. Horrible. Right. The dude had to shave twice a day every time they filmed on set.
I agree.
Horrible. They all sucked except for Tom, the best Spider-Man ever made.
Oh, yeah.
All right, but what is your list?
Okay. But I'm lagging. At least I'm not lagging here. But at least you can hear me. All right. You're not going to get my beautiful face, but you get my beautiful voice.
Give me your list right now.
All right.
I want to hear it.
I'm pulling it up, Booty. I'm pulling it up.
And we're starting from the bottom to the top, right?
Yes, sirree, Bob. Okay. All right. So the worst one for me, I want to say, is Spider-Man 3. I hated the emo Spider-Man. I hated the way they made Venom and who they picked as Eddie Brock. I hated everything about that film.
Absolute worst.
And I was so hyped for this because I said, okay, maybe they'll do better because obviously Spider-Man 2 was better than Spider-Man 1. So maybe Spider-Man 3, they'll do better. Sam Raimi, I believe in you. You're going to do it. You're going to make things happen. You fucked us over. And I didn't even like Sandman. That was an addition that they didn't need. We didn't even need that. I thought it would have been good with just Hobgoblin and Venom. But this is Venom we're talking about. This is one of the biggest.
That's not fair to Sam, though, because he didn't want to put Venom in it. It was originally just supposed to be Sandman. The studio forced him to put Venom into the movie.
Okay, now imagine if it was just Sandman. Do you think it would have been better?
Oh, by far. I think it would have been.
100%.
I think that movie.
But Sandman's not that big of a deal. Like you could have picked any other. You could have picked Vulture and anybody. Rhino, something.
The villains he picked weren't really a big deal originally.
Okay, who was his original villains then?
Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus.
Well, yeah, those are fine. I appreciate those.
Doc Ock is probably the most serious out of the three that he chose.
Well, Sandman
was always popular in the comics and too in the cartoons.
Right.
Okay, I agree with that. In the comics and in the TV shows, it was probably better, but in the movie, I just didn't do nothing for me. So I'm gonna say Spider-Man 3 is the worst one. After that is the Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Electro. That was so bad. I left the theater so mad. Like, why are you doing this to us Spider-Man fans? You're really sucking the blood and money out of us and making us think this is gonna. Then the other thing is, right? We get Harry Osborn, but we don't even get to see his father, bro. We don't even get that Goblin. We get the son Goblin. Why did you rush that?
Oh, that design was so ugly.
Why did you rush it? And then you saw the makeup, right? He never looked like that.
No.
Why would you do this? So that, and then the fact that Electro, I'm glad they picked Jamie Foxx, but they fucked him over, bro. They did a bad job. They did,
and that's amazing to me.
You know the one thing
I barely remember the Amazing Spider-Man movies. That's how much I hated the fucking things because I barely remember like a lot of the actors and like a lot of the scenes in it.
I remember it and it hurts my heart. The one thing that I did like, and this was straight from the comic book, and it hurt my heart, was seeing Gwen Stacy die.
Oh, they that was probably the best scene.
Yeah,
in that movie though.
That yes, and you knew it was coming. Like you
100%. If you read the comics, you know that.
Yeah. You knew it was coming, and I'm like, oh my god, no, this is really happening on screen. I can't believe this. And you loved who played Gwen Stacy, obviously, right? We love the actress. So it's like they picked a good Gwen Stacy. We got the girlfriend right this time. And,
right, finally.
And I actually enjoyed the suit more than I did with the Sam Raimi suits. I actually like Mark Webb's Spider-Man suits more. So it was just so bad. It was such a letdown. Now it goes to number. So what's that? So we had Spider-Man 3 with Venom, then Amazing Spider-Man 2. And now I'm going to say the first Amazing Spider-Man. I didn't like that one. I didn't like the whole story
arc.
Your
bottom list is the same as mine.
No, calm down, because it's going to get better. So yes, I didn't like Dr. Connors and the Lizard. I thought they could have done a better job with that. What? Say what you gotta say. Say what you gotta say, Chris.
Because I said my bottom 3 is that, and you looked at me like I was crazy.
No. I look at you crazy when you start to say that you enjoyed one more than you said.
I said I enjoyed Amazing Spider-Man 1 over Spider-Man 3. That's all I said.
Okay, I think I got it flipped. Whatever. Anyway.
Oh man.
No, but I agree with you on that.
I do flipped that the other way around because I said I didn't like Amazing Spider-Man 2, then Amazing Spider-Man 1, then Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, someone said something that made me lose my shit.
Because for me, Amazing Spider-Man 1 was the bottom. Then Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then Spider-Man 3. That's the way my bottom 3 go.
Well, because you have a thing for Andrew Garfield that you don't like. So I think that's what makes it worse because you don't like Garfield.
Because of the fact that in all reality, like yes, they did Gwen Stacy's death and everything else too, but at the same time though too, I just feel like as if they could have done way more. Like the special effects in that were way better.
Oh yeah, look at the time that it came out.
A lot of it was not good about it. Because Spider-Man 3 would have been great if they would have had those special effects for Venom. It probably would have been better. Even though Topher Grace could have definitely gotten kicked rocks because Topher Grace was like the worst person to ever be in a fucking movie.
That's the
he problem. Was just around because he was only around because of that 70s show at the time, and he was just like kind of like riding the high horse with him like that. They figured they'd take a risk. So I mean, like Topher Grace was just a disgrace all around. But
what a bad decision making. So anyway, so now I'm gonna say Spider-Man 1, 2002. That's my one that I dislike. And then we're gonna go to Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock. I did enjoy Dr. Octopus in that story arc, and I thought if it was made at a different time, that's why I'm like super excited for the new Spider-Man movie because of the graphics that they're gonna add and all the CGI is gonna look so much better. But it's not my favorite. He is one of the villains that I appreciate in all of the comic books and everything like that. But I think they could have done better. The actor is great. We're not going to deny that. They did an amazing job by casting the actor. Same thing with Willem Dafoe when they casted him as the Green Goblin. They did a great job casting these actors, but the way it was constructed was trash. Then we're going to go to Spider-Man Homecoming. I thought this was a good introduction to the film.
So this is your top 3.
This is my top 3. So Homecoming, I thought was great. I enjoy getting to meet Tom Holland as a Spider-Man, and I do appreciate that we're done with the whole Uncle Ben shit because that shit needs to go away. That needs to go away. And I didn't even mention in the Amazing Spider-Man, which we discussed earlier, that introducing the parents and how they died, like I didn't need to know that. But being that this time around we got a younger Aunt May, or Aunt May, however you want to call it, which I thought was dope. I mean, in the comic books, yes, she's older, but we need to freshen this up. And I'm glad we didn't get an origin story. Like, we just jumped right into it. Let's get it. Let's keep going. I'm loving everything about it. Tom Holland is a great actor. He has a great accent. You can tell like he's a really big fan of this character, and he loves playing Spider-Man and Peter Parker. After that is Far From Home. I loved Mysterio. I loved Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. I loved the whole story behind it. I actually did like Michael Keaton as Vulture. I thought that was dope, and introducing to the Shocker and all that stuff. I enjoyed all of that, and having Iron Man there was cool. But this one, it's like he's a little bit alone. Yeah, we got Nick Fury there and stuff like that, but this was like Spider-Man, and they did an amazing job with the costume. It was so good. And then, of course, we're going to go to Into the Spider-Verse, the greatest Spider-Man movie. And why the fuck are you laughing, Chris? Because I'm
laughing because your list is literally one movie switch from IGN's list, and you said their list was terrible.
Is it really from the same? No way. I got to look at their list. Well, Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie of all time. And I can't wait for this part 2 because that's going to be so good. I can't wait to see when they introduce Spider-Man 2099, one of my favorite Spider-Man costumes and story arcs. But besides that, that's my list. I don't know if it is identical to IGN. Chris be capping sometimes. But Chris, I would like to hear yours.
It's real close. You
yours?
Just switched like 2 things and that was it.
Go ahead.
My list, bottom tier, automatically The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is my least favorite Spider-Man ever.
Okay, I can understand that.
They gave us blue balls with the whole Rhino reveal at the end.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's so trash.
They put it in the trailer, and we thought that was what we were gonna see, and is literally what they showed in the trailer. They put in the end of the movie.
Yes.
Stupid.
Yeah. Hey, he's whipping the fucking
They gave the only thing I do give the Amazing Spider-Man movies credit for is they gave us some iconic looking Spider-Man scenes. They did. I'll give them that.
Okay.
Like the scene in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 with him doing the slow motion
fighting Electro
thing, and no, not the Electro fight was cool or whatever, but I'm talking about the scene where he's in Times Square and he saves the lady with the baby, the guy from getting smushed by the car, and the other guy from touching the rails.
Yeah.
And that whole scene where it's like slow motion and he's using the web shooter and has it go like multiple ways. That's one of the craziest Spider-Man scenes we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give him that.
Okay.
The visuals and the costume designs were pretty dope for Spider-Man himself.
Yes.
Everything else though, the Electro design, terrible.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I didn't like how they changed Jamie Foxx to look the way he did. Granted, I get they were trying to like portray the character, but it's like, if you're gonna choose Jamie Foxx, then make him look like Jamie Foxx at least. Like, he looked terrible, and then he switched into this blue monster. Horrible. Least favorite movie. Writing was horrible. Second least favorite is definitely Spider-Man 3. I only put that above Amazing Spider-Man 2 because it's another train wreck, but the story was still pretty decent to an extent. It was better story than what Amazing Spider-Man 2 had to offer.
So you love the whole dancing Peter Parker.
No, I'm talking about the overall story. Obviously, I didn't like any of that.
You love that.
Even though in that scene he was getting mad shorties, you feel me? Which is cap, because I don't think girls really like the bowl cut in New York like that,
Yeah. Oh my god. That was so stupid. I would like to interview him and like, yo, what were you thinking, bro? Who does that?
So Amazing Spider-Man, the Spider-Man 3 is second on the bottom tier list. They should have never messed with Sam Raimi's ideas, and they could have gave us way more movies. But the studio kind of forced him, which is that's why I don't put blame on him, because he kind of just said, fuck it, like, I don't care anymore. You guys want me to do this? Sure. They wanted him to throw Venom and Hobgoblin and all that in there. So he had to, come up with something to put them in there, Then The Amazing Spider-Man is right after that.
Okay.
I loved Gwen Stacy and Spider-Man's, character arc, even though the only thing I do not like about their whole relationship was the way he told her that he was Spider-Man. That's like the least Spider-Man thing for him to do. Peter takes pride in hiding his identity from everybody that he loves because that's how he protects them. Absolutely. And he told her instantly, and that kind of pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. So then that's that, and then I put the first Spider-Man movie with Green Goblin. I love those movies when they came out.
Watch it again.
I like
cringy.
William Dafoe. Obviously, it's cringy because it's an older movie now.
It's so bad.
But when it came out, it was crazy. You know, first of all, it was my favorite character in comic books.
Obviously, yeah.
And you know, finally seeing him on screen was like the nostalgia was always going to be there.
You were young too. 2002.
Right, and
how old were you?
2002. I was 9.
You were you almost my son's age, so you were like blown away. I was already 15. I was like, what the fuck is this?
It was all crazy to me. I loved it. It was the first time seeing my favorite character on screen. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
After that, I'd have to put Homecoming. Homecoming's next. I'm gonna put Homecoming there.
And
love the movie.
Top 3.
And then it's my top 3. My top 3 after that is gonna be Far From Home.
Can't believe how high you put 2.
Spider-Man 2 is gonna be second. Spider-Man 2 is gonna be second to me only because the amount of scenes they gave us in that movie that were like crazy iconic, like the train scene alone was amazing. No, not that. I'm talking about the fight between him and Doc Ock on the train.
I thought you were just holding the train.
That. Granted, that scene was cool because it showed one of the issues that I do have with Tom Spider-Man movies is the feeling of New York being involved is just never there for him.
I get it.
And that's the biggest issue. I love Tom. I think he's a great Spider-Man, but his movies, my biggest issue is it does not feel New York enough. Granted, in the first one, he had the scene where, you know, he was helping the old ladies. That's probably one of my favorite parts of that movie, where, you know, he gets the hot dog, the churro, and do a flip, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like they should do more of that in the newer film, obviously. But like that scene,
I get it. Yeah,
was like very New York. You know, everybody in New York takes the train. Everybody, you know, knows what kind of stuff goes on there. And then the fight there was crazy. Like when he does the little spin through the through the little bridge thing. All those things were cool. Like the Spider Sense scene where he turns around, sees the train, and freaking, you know, does the almost impossible move to dodge the train. That always is. That's gonna be one of my favorite movies, especially with Spider-Man. So that's number 2. And then, of course, the greatest Spider-Man movie ever, Into the Spider-Verse, bro. That movie is a 10 out of 10, immaculate, love it. Everything was perfect.
So beautiful, that film, man. It just looks so great. And the vibe, like, of course, we're getting the introduction to Miles Morales, right? And you get the hip-hop, urban feel. Your first time introduced to this character that was recently developed that wasn't always in the comic books. This is great.
Makes Puerto Rican black, just like me.
Just beautiful. And I love that it was a different universe where you get Doc Ock's daughter as the main villain here. It was, and of course Kingpin and everything like that. It's so good. John, what's your list?
All right, so for me, it's going to be the bottom 2 are going to be the Amazing Spider-Man, and there's the Amazing Spider-Man. No. See, that's the funny part too about it is that the Amazing Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man 2 are my 2 bottom 2. Amazing Spider-Man being number 1, the bottom 1. Amazing Spider-Man 2 being the second to the bottom 1.
Okay, you got the same list as IGN.
and what's funny though too is the fact that I think that Andrew Garfield did amazing as Peter Parker, like the nerdy, like he kind of gave that vibe of like being that kind of like the nerdy, the way he's like really into it. He seemed like he was more of that geeky style than Peter Parker was. Peter Parker just seemed like, I don't know. It just Peter Parker, not Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker just didn't do it for me as much as
didn't seem like a
Andrew
scientist
Garfield
to you.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, but as far as like Spider-Man goes, though, I think that the Amazing Spider-Man had by far the best costumes. The best Spider-Man costumes, hands down, almost as good as the new ones, but.
He had the best swinging team so far.
Yeah,
I loved it. I'm not gonna lie.
So the suits were amazing. The CGI, the scenes, the nighttime scenes, everything looked amazing in that movie. I can't deny that. The villains were just absolute fucking trash and ruined everything for me. Like literally, you could not watch the movie because of the villains.
Yeah, it's true.
Now when we go past those 2, though, I would have to at that point say Spider-Man 3.
Okay, so the
Spider-Man 3, I think, had the great. Spider-Man 3, I think, definitely had the great idea they were going with, and I see where they were trying to go with it. However, though, the CGI killed it with Venom, because Sandman was done well. Sandman CGI was done very well for the time frame, but Venom though was just done bad. I liked the symbiote suit on Spider-Man. cool.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that looked dope.
So
yeah,
the symbiote suit looked cool,
especially for the promo.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah,
The
exactly.
poster was amazing. Yeah.
To be that mirror image.
Yeah, that was hard.
That's what pulled me in.
Right,
I was like, this is gonna be great.
So you're expecting this amazing movie, but then you get it and you're just like, holy crap, I got Peter Parker going through his high school emo phase and he's just pissed off at the world and that's it. He's listening to My Chemical Romance while walking down the street kind of thing. Like, it just killed me. Like, that was the biggest part that killed me with that movie.
So
because
cringy.
I was even able to look past the sound.
It was already dirty when they did
CGI.
that.
Like, I could look past the CGI even. But when they did that whole entire, like, Venom with the whole pipe thing and then, like, the whole, like...
Oh, yeah.
It was just so much of the movie. Like, because when you told me you got Venom, and, like, being, like, a huge Venom Carnage fan, I was just like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, you dropped the ball.
Oh, I got into the movie, and I'm just like, fuck you. I'm out. Like, that was just horrible.
And the best part is I think Carnage was supposed to be in Spider-Man 4 before it got canceled.
And the Vulture,
they canceled, though, because they would have ruined it horribly if they would have kept going with it.
Yeah, there was artwork for the Vulture, too.
Going with it.
Supposed to be Jim Carrey.
Everyone mentioned that, yeah.
Spider-Man 2... Spider-Man 2 would.
Do you remember that Leonardo DiCaprio was supposed to be Spider-Man at one point?
Yes.
Disgusting. Yes. Terrible.
So after Spider-Man 3, then we go to Spider-Man 2.
Ooh, wait, so you like Spider-Man 1 more than Spider-Man 2?
I think Spider-Man 1 to me was just a little bit more iconic because I loved Green Goblin in Spider-Man 1 though too. I'm not gonna lie, I loved William Dafoe. William Dafoe, and I love the costume.
That's crazy.
I love the costume. I really do love Green Goblin.
Bro, he had foam posits on, bro.
Oh, it's all right though. Let him have the foam posits on, bro. It's all right though. He was a regular man. I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Yo, I forgot about that.
I would say though, Spider-Man 1. Ruby, are you trying to be in the show, Ruby?
He has foam posits, bro.
My dog's over here just giving a hot take too. I would say Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, and then Spider-Man 1.
Wow.
So here's the thing. His list right now is one series, another series, and then the top 3 is going to be another series and Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, basically. That's pretty much exactly what it is.
All right, so what's your top 3? So now that we're here.
No, exactly what this. It literally is going to be, I would say Far From Homecoming, and then Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay, so Far From Home, Homecoming.
Number 1.
Number 1 is Spider-Verse. Number 2 would be Homecoming, and then my top third would be Far From Home. So it goes. I'm sorry. It goes. My last. It would be Far From Home, Homecoming, then Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse is number 1.
Your list is so unique because it's like Amazing Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Verse. What the fuck?
I didn't even think about that. You're right. I didn't even think about that.
What is going on?
My man literally he's like, well, each series, it's a series, brother.
No, because the truth of the matter is, though, too, is like in all reality, like I cannot say Tom Holland series is going to be by far number 1, no matter what. Homecoming is going to be number 1. Like those are my top 2. Like no matter what
makes Homecoming so good, better than Far From Home?
Most people put Homecoming above Far From Home, by the way. Like most people do.
Because I would say Homecoming to me though was just more iconic to me.
Why though?
Because the villain. They like Vulture more than Mysterio.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Mysterio. I'm not gonna lie. In the comics, in the cartoons and all, he was okay.
I think
but
that's
I'm not, like,
why. Because I loved Mysterio. I thought Mysterio was great.
And Mysterio,
I think.
I believe, in my opinion, Mysterio is more iconic than Vulture, even in the comics.
I think that too. The thing is also that too is that no meat, and I think that it's the initial. When Homecoming first came out, it was the initial like, holy shit. Like we finally got Spider-Man we were looking for. Like this is like, you know what I mean? Like this is what Spider-Man has been leading up to after all these movies and everything else too. And that's the reason why, yes, my movies do go from worst to least, like Spider-Man 2 and 1, because of the fact that in all reality, when you first get into it, like no matter what though, they do get progressively better. But like it was just the villains and like the story, like Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man was great because it was different. It was something new to me. It was something that stood out from the other ones. But no matter what, though, Tom Holland Spider-Man, though, Tom Holland to me is the one that embraces Spider-Man. Like anything with MCU right now at all. Like MCU, I have never met MCU characters that they have casted that I'm just like, no, that doesn't look like that character. Like even characters that I was like I never cared about. I go back and read the comics and I'm like, No, that's literally who it is. Like that's Star-Lord. That's Peter Quill. Like even if I fucking never read it before, like that's literally who he is. Like they do amazing jobs now with MCU. So
The casting
I can't
is
even
good,
put that into like the top with that because that's gonna be no matter what. But yes, Homecoming before Far From Home.
But I got a question.
Far From Home was great, but I was definitely put Homecoming first though before that.
Were you not blown away by the whole illusion in Far From Home in that one scene when he's fighting Mysterio and it's just like so many different things and he sees the yeah, before he gets on the train, after he's already beaten up, but he sees like the skeleton.
Man said before he gets on the train, like he didn't get smacked by a fucking bullet train.
No. In that scene, you know what I'm talking about, where he sees Iron Man as a skeleton or a zombie.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
that didn't blow you away.
He gets hit by a train after that.
That's awesome and that's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time though too, it's mind blowing. But at the point where it's not mind blowing because at this point in time you already had how many other MCU movies, so you're not really getting blown away as much as you would have been if this was the very first time you would have seen something like that.
No,
you know what it is?
Because
I was a huge Mysterio fan. That's exactly what Mysterio would be like.
That's what I'm saying. That was like
I was like, oh, this is great.
They took it out of the comic book, legit.
I'm not Mysterio like that. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I'm not Vulture either. Don't get me wrong.
No,
but that's the reason why too. Like if we how many times we discussed it though too. Like I'm a huge fan of Venom. With Eddie Brock, with the movies too, with the new movies.
Oh, no, the movies.
So that's what I'm saying though too. Like because of the fact that to me though too, it's still giving me something that I wanted from Venom though, compared to what we had with Spider-Man Venom.
Just
with
look alone.
So,
I appreciate that. Yeah,
that is what I love about it. Like
Tom Hardy did amazing.
It's not what you would expect from from the comic books or whatever, because it's not really Venom, Eddie Brock together, but it's still Venom. Like that is the Venom I want. So I'm in that movie. I'm taking like Venom. I'm taking Eddie Brock and putting Eddie Brock to the side. Like I'm taking Eddie Brock and separating him a little bit from this one. Like the collaboration with that Eddie Brock and Venom have in this, like that banter back and forth, is cute. It's fun. It's good.
That I don't like.
It's no, but again though too, it's cute and it's fun because like I keep on telling a lot of people too is you got to remember when it comes to any of these Marvel movies or any of these movies in general though too, they're giving you enough for the true comic book fan, the true loyal fan for Spider-Man, Venom, with MCU, with Iron Man, the ones that are true loyal fanatics. They're giving you a little bit of taste of it and a little bit to make you happy, but yet they still have to cater to the everyday person that has no idea about these people. Like somebody like my wife, your wife, etc. So that's why it's amazing to me because of the fact that they still keep a good borderline between the two. So that's
didn't it upset you that it took place in San Francisco and we never got like a real Daily Bugle from New York? Like that's where Eddie Brock, like his story arc is from that.
Right.
No, 100%. But I'm putting that aside though too because I wasn't looking at. Remember, I didn't go into Venom though. I never went into the Venom movies thinking of comic book accuracy. I just went into the Venom movies loving it for Venom itself. I never really actually looked over the Venom movies and broke it down to details like I do MCU. Like when it comes to MCU, I expect MCU to be true to the comics and not come up with some random shit. Like they're not going to have the Daily Bugle taking place in the middle of fucking Iowa, and like it's not J. Jonah Jameson. It's actually John Jingleheimer Schmidt that works for fucking the Daily Bugle over in Iowa. Like I'm not expecting that. Like if I got that, I'm like fuck this. But with the Venom though, right. So for Venom though, I'm good with that. Venom, I'm like. I didn't care too much about the whole where the story, what he works for, everything else too. Because for Venom, I really went into Venom more for the action, more for the Venom scenes, more for like the fighting. And I really put myself aside for that one. Like I did not compare Venom to the
versus Glop.
You're one because of the
though too.
Yeah. Not many people would agree with you on that though.
Oh no, 100%. I know I'm odd man on that. I know I'm odd man on that. But like the same way with DC though too. I don't expect DC to do good.
Because they have a bad track record. Yeah. Right.
So I enjoy it for what it is. But now if MCU did that shit, if Marvel Studios did that shit, I would be out there boycotting Marvel Studios tomorrow. I ain't gonna lie. If you gave me a fucking 75-year-old guy playing fucking Peter Parker tomorrow, I had to shave 14 times a day or whatever like that though, I'd be pissed as fuck.
Oh, we're gonna get that soon. We're gonna see a version of that with Tobey Maguire. He's 50 something. Well, I think he's 46. I don't know, something like that.
Wait. Oh, Tobey Maguire. I was like, wait.
When he comes into this new one, he's gonna be old.
Well, they did de-age Alfred Molina, so I'm sure.
Yeah, and they made him thinner. Like I didn't like. I mentioned that in the trailer.
That's just how he looks now, bro.
He looks thin. He's thin.
Right? Yeah, he lost mad weight.
But he was not thin in Spider-Man 2. Chris is I can't fuck with him. Anyway, that's gonna be our list. This was just keep Gibbon talks. We're gonna just keep it as this. We did a full episode of Keep Gibbon talks.
That whole thing.
I did record the whole thing.
Yeah.